All right, good afternoon. So just injury update-wise, Harrison Phillips, I think it's already been reported, is out. He'll be out for the year. He tore his ACL. Unfortunate, a young player that's been developing, was having a very good year, and was an important piece of our defense. But we'll mend up, and guys will step in and step up, and we'll go on from there. So unfortunate, sad. He worked extremely hard, but it'll be good having him around, and we expect him to continue to do what he's been doing, albeit off the field, but continue to add value. So with that, we'll open it up to your questions.
Was he able to finish the game yesterday?
No. Yeah, he came out in I believe it was the last drive there. Yeah.
How do you address your depth there with only having Jordan as a primary backup?
Yeah, we'll look at it. Brandon and I have spoken about it a little bit, but not in totality to this point, John. So we'll address as we move forward here.
We saw Harrison's snap total, kind of rise as the season has gone on. Was that just all part of his development and earning that? Because we all understand the stature that Starr has in that room as well.
Yeah, I mean, when you play well, you get more reps, you get more opportunities, and he was playing well. So that's really what it was a result of.
Where do things stand with other guys that were injured, Devin Singletary?
Yeah, all guys are moving in a positive direction, I would say, Matt. So that's the best I know right now. It's obviously early on Monday at this point.
Coach, just with the balance that your team has been able to demonstrate, like offense and defense, I think a lot of people would agree, you had to lean on your defense a lot last year. How encouraged are you through these first 3 games about the balance on both sides of the ball that your team's been able to demonstrate?
Yeah, I mean, they complement one another. Chris, to your point, I feel like we feel like overall we continue to work on trying to play good complementary football. And taking care of the football is a big piece of that, and good fundamentals as well. I mean, that also plays into complementary football and just good football overall. So we've got to improve in that area. There's some missed tackles, drop passes, didn't take care of the football. All those areas we can improve on.
What are your concerns? I mean, about it looked to us, or Josh having to almost apologize again for making some tough decisions, not smart decisions, bad decisions, as he put it. What are your thoughts, and saying he's got to get that hammered into his head? What are your thoughts about just the inconsistencies that have come up in his game and the reoccurring issues that come up in his game?
As it relates to?
As it relates to the interception,
yeah.
And just not being responsible for the ball at times.
Yeah, he's got to do his job. He needs to do his job, and part of doing his job in this case, or any player that handles the football, is taking care of the football.
I feel like how he responded late with that.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like the mistakes get to him.
Yeah, I mean, to be able to handle that and through the course of a game, look, he made a lot of special plays, and so that's all part of the growth and development of a young quarterback too. I thought he responded well, and so did the offense. When we needed a drive, they put together a good, solid drive, and then when we needed to stop on defense, they stopped them. So, a lot we can learn from. It's a new day, a new week, and we're moving forward.
It's Patriots week, and just what do you make of just how daunting a challenge this might be, seeing how they're playing right now?
Yeah, they're the defending champs, and no one's come close to even touching them at this point. So, we've got to focus on what we do in our routine and our process, and as we talked earlier and yesterday after the game, we've got a lot of work to do and a lot of areas we need to improve fundamentally, and so this will be another opportunity for us.
As much as everybody focuses on Tom Brady and what he's been able to do, is it even as a defensive coordinator, as you're a defensive-minded coach, Is it remarkable to know that this team has not given up, the Patriots haven't given up an offensive touchdown yet?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I don't think I've ever been around that, ever heard of that to this point in the season. Very early on my film process at this point, but with what they're doing and how they're doing it, and playing really well with a bunch of good players, and doing some really, really cool things on defense.
Sean, based on your observations since you've been in Buffalo, what do these games against the Patriots mean to this fan base, the community, especially the ones here at home?
Yeah, I would say overall, for us internally, we've got to prepare for week 4 of the season, 4 out of 16. Really appreciate our fans, the way they support this football team, whether it's week 4 or week whatever, week 1, week 14. So we've got a very passionate fan base, and a fan base that I would hope our team blends well with in terms of types of guys we have on our team, and the way that they play. But for us, it's week 4 against a very good opponent, the defending champs. So we've got our work cut out for us.
Sean, can we go back to yesterday, the 2-point conversion, you elected to go for 2 after the penalty. Is that something that, you have going into a game that you think if that situation comes up in this game you'll do, or is it more about maybe where you are in that game, and even things like weather, there was a strong wind and stuff like that?
Yeah, a little bit of everything. Sal, with, analytics play a part, strategy plays a part. Obviously the weather was a factor yesterday, so that played a part. But that was a big opportunity for us, and it ended up, having we felt like a role in the outcome of the game just because of the 4-point versus a 3-point margin at the end there.
Does it encourage you at all to go for 2, maybe even when you don't get the ball closer?
We talk about those things a lot, Joe, especially in the off season. And just in terms of when it's right, when it isn't. Every game's different, every situation's different too. So, but it's important that when we need it, we can get it.
Is it encouraging that there's been inconsistencies in all 3 games, whether it's a quarter or maybe a half, yet you've still been able to ultimately come out on top of those? So maybe you haven't played your best football yet, yet you're still finding ways to win?
Yeah, that's, there's something to be said for that. Yet there's also, the way I look at it is, we've got a lot of work to do, and I know I sound like a broken record, but that's the truth. It's early in the season, so that's usually the first 4 weeks of the season. You're trying to build up the foundation of the good, strong fundamentals and technique, execution, finding out who our team is, who we're not, using players in different positions, some of those things. So it's a time, to discover a little bit of who we are, and I think we've been able to do that to this point with more room and more work to do.
How much more do you know about Tyler Croft's injury that he suffered last week, and is it too soon to have any kind of loose timeline on that, like day-to-day?
Yeah, Jay, it's still sitting on the same end of the spectrum that I thought in a positive way. It wasn't as bad as we initially were worried about, and so. But as far as timeline, I don't have an update in terms of the timeline for you.
What's the challenge? And you guys have been able to do well early this year by kind of having that week-to-week mindset and focusing in on each week. Mm-hmm. What's the challenge of getting your guys to do that in a game of this magnitude that a lot of these guys aren't used to playing yet?
Yeah, it's week 4. Honestly, Matt, it's week 4. So we've got to stay with our routine, stay with our process, and really double down in areas where we didn't get the results that way we wanted to, is to double down on the process in terms of where we can be better, really, at this point.
How do you feel about the right side of the offensive line, how it came through the game yesterday with John getting hurt and Cody moving into guard? Yeah, I thought Cody stepped in and did a nice job. I know there's some plays he'd like to have back, like all of us. But I think that the biggest message to our team was that he was ready to go. Had very few snaps there during practice, but was ready to go and stepped in and did a nice job overall. That's a great message to a lot of the other young players and guys that don't start necessarily.
as it relates to just being ready to go, even whether your number's called or you have to start at one position, move over to another position. That's good stuff.
Sean, to go back to Harrison for a second, he tore his ACL at Stanford as well. Was this the same knee or was it the other knee?
Yeah, I don't want to get into all the specifics on that. He tore his knee. So that's, at this point, the biggest thing that matters. But he's going to get it fixed, and he'll be back stronger.
Sean, yesterday you talked about how you probably left some points on the field is it maybe good that you didn't play even close to a perfect game and it could have been a much wider margin of victory that maybe gives you some, I'm not sure humility, but allows you to feel like as if it was you didn't play your best, knowing that you didn't play your best going into a game like this against a division opponent like this? Does it help you and refocus the team and being able to look at the TV screen and say, here's what you did wrong?
Yeah, I mean, I just think overall it's where we are in the season. It's we continue to try and take steps each week to improve as a football team, and like I said, it's week 4, and we're going to continue to try and improve on the fundamentals, the techniques, the execution, and just again continuing to find out and try and put our players in position to be successful.
Because mine was a long-winded question, so if I ask it this way, you don't look or seem like a 3-0 team after yesterday. Is that fair?
Is that a comment or a question? I'm not sure.
Is that fair? Based on how you performed, you didn't look like a 3-0 team yesterday.
Yeah, we've got a lot of work to do.
Sean, is it good to have a test of this magnitude this early in the season as you try to find out who your team is?
Yeah, like I said, they're the defending champs, and no one's beaten them, and no one's come close to beating them. I mean, the games have pretty much been over by halftime. So they're very talented, well coached. That's, as you know, probably one of the best coaches ever to coach, and if not the best, one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback ever. And they've earned everything they've gotten, and so we've got to make sure we work this week and obviously correct the things that John mentioned earlier.
What's been your impression of Brian Daboll as a play caller through the first 3 weeks this season, and then how have you maybe seen his offense grow from last year to this year?
Yeah, I think the execution overall, the personnel is different than last year as well, so it's a different group. I think that there's times when we've moved the ball well, and there's times where we haven't. And so I think just as continuing for us as part of the other answer to the question was to keep improving as a football team is all 3 phases. Whether it's running the ball, throwing the football, third down conversions, red zone yesterday, we weren't quite good enough in the red zone, and so it's just continuing to improve as an overall offense and then subsequently as an overall team.
What was it like watching that Dawson knock the play back on film, that 49-yarder with the
Yeah, that was, another just fun to watch. Really, to see a player that, early in the game struggled with a catch there and came back, and great of Josh to show the confidence in him, to give him another opportunity there. And Coach Boris did a really good job of getting Dawson what he needed to during the game and making some adjustments, and Dawson did the rest. Catching it's one thing. The run after the catch was very impressive, and the ball security on top of that. As I've mentioned before, and you guys have reported, it's a lot of young guys getting significant playing time and doing something with it, and that comes from preparation and the habits during the week.
Sean, is it difficult to criticize Josh too much or for doing too much when he improvises on the play, when he goes on both ends of the spectrum? It seems like he can extend a play and throw an interception, or he'll extend a play and it'll help that game-winning drive.
Yeah, no, it's again, to me, it's the development of a young quarterback, and then it's Josh's athleticism and being around a couple athletic quarterbacks in my past. It can work both ways sometimes, and so you just have to continue to hey, understand your job and just be 1/11th of what we're trying to do, and then we'll move the football effectively when we do that. But when you don't take care of the football, and Josh knows, he's talked about it, you put your team in harm's way. So we have to do. That's one of the areas we have to do a better job in.
And where do you challenge for his offensive line, and specifically Dion or Cody, whoever's playing right tackle? I imagine it's hard to keep track of where Josh is while also keeping track of the guy in front of you.
Yeah, I thought they did some good things yesterday. I thought we took a step in certain ways with a lot of work to do, but they know that they've got to do their job, and they expect Josh to do the same. I think there's mutual respect and trust between the two groups, really.
What are your thoughts about T.J. Yeldon? You said he learned something from the fumble he committed against Indianapolis in the opener. What about the fumble that he made yesterday in a game that really matters?
Yeah, I would say similar to the conversation we just had as it goes to along the lines of respecting the football. We've got points on the board right there, and a chance to go up, 2.5 scores, whatever it was at that point, and we put the ball on the ground. So, again, techniques, fundamentals go a long way in terms of winning football games, blocking, tackling.
Sean, through 3 games, how happy are you with the pass rush, the pressure you're getting on quarterbacks, and how important is it going to be to get that dialed up in this time?
Yeah, that's big. We've talked before about winning up front on both sides of the ball and special teams. So being able to affect the quarterback is big, and stopping the run and being able to affect the quarterback. And there were times yesterday I thought it was good enough, and there were other times it wasn't good enough. And so that's another area we have to continue to grow and work on.
When opposing teams are getting the ball out as quickly as they have been in the past 3 weeks, how do you neutralize that with a quicker pass rush, if that's even possible?
Yeah, that's the kind of perspective on it, is how soon or late is the ball coming out based on within the down. So there were times yesterday it was coming out quicker than normal, and Andy does usually a pretty good job of getting it out, and so we knew that going into the game. And I thought, again, there was times where when he held it we needed to be there and we weren't there, so it's an area we can improve on this week. Everybody good? All right, thanks guys.